Hello again and welcome to another Mordian Glory video. But is it even a Mordian Glory video, or is it a scruffy Mordian video, or is it a shiny Simon video? You're looking particularly shiny today, my friend.
Look at this. Tell you, apologies. This video's gonna have to come with like an epilepsy warning.
I feel like
is it just on my camera. Is that coming through on yours as well?
Oh, it's like most shiny.
No, but it's like trippy. Look at that. It's like got a life of its own.
It's like the magic eye.
Yeah. What's going on there? Tell you what.
You should. I don't know if it's a positive thing or a negative thing, but it's a cool thing.
I'm gonna rock this. This is the new the choice. I'm only wearing this because I'm going out drinking in like 2 hours.
Oh, is that why we're on a short deadline? You've got to get down to that most important of British pastimes, some serious drinking.
And it's
please drink responsibly. YouTube, don't demonetize the video.
Yes, it's networking.
Oh, is it now? Yes, really, just going down to the pub for some networking. Yeah, Steve. Yeah, Steve. I'll get the next round. Yeah.
It is networking, so there you go.
You're networking your way to the bottom of a pint glass. That's what you're doing.
Yeah, that's some perks.
Oh man. Well, Simon, before you go off and have a thoroughly well-deserved networking session and weekend, you have to, of course, endure your weekly SaltCast.
Really early, shouldn't I? To be honest,
you should have got the pre-drinks going, man. But we actually have something to talk about today, rather than the usual endless waffle and drivel. Because it is drivel. On my end, it is. Yeah. Your waffle, I'm drivel.
Well, mine is exasperation, to be honest.
Exactly. Yeah. There you go. But before we want to talk about Warhammer 40k. I know, a controversial topic, but we also. But what was that?
I thought we were talking bolt action.
But we're going to look at it through the lens of bolt action.
Oh,
see. But before we get because we actually on a rare moment for this channel, in a moment of seriousness, we actually had a very, very good game of bolt action yesterday.
Okay.
It was a damn good game, and I think it was it was one of, if not the best games of bolt action we've ever played. And we've had some good ones, but it felt... At one point, Simon's watch went off, telling him he was suffering high levels of stress.
That hasn't happened since teams that I was playing, the 1,000 Suns who opened up and obliterated my... But yeah, it did, yeah.
But it was like, it was a stressful excitement, shall we say. Because it wasn't like a negative stress. It was just oh my God, this game is getting quite good kind of stress, with a few heady heights and terrible lows, shall we say. So I want
nice things for a change.
just let me roll and fucking hit you, useless D34 bastard. Those gun sights were rushed out to meet a quote assignment. They didn't check the quality of them.
I've got a hit, I've got a pen. Oh, you saved it.
Well, to be fair, you can only hold that against me because I made one save, and the rest of the time it was all on you. But the point is, we had a very, very good game, and we had a moment off camera, and we said we were going to delve into a little bit more. For however long it takes today, we're probably going to try six sort of half an hour, 45 minutes kind of thing. But no one knows, it might be a little bit longer. But we want to just delve into this a little bit, because the game that we had, I think, not only was a great testament to the potential that bolt action has. Not every game is like this. Let's not exaggerate or anything, but the potential that a game like bolt action has. And then we sort of, I started thinking, Simon was just wanting to get out of there, but I started thinking about 40k and how I feel like there's something slightly off. And I think looking at bolt action can, in a funny sort of way, help us explain why there's some things that feel a little off in 40k right now. And I'm not saying it explains everything. I'm not saying 40k is rubbish or dead or anything like that. Don't start getting it twisted, because people on the internet, the moment you say you like one thing, they assume you hate another thing. No, nothing like that. But let us have a conversation about 40k through the lens of bot action. But before we do that, Simon, do you want to spend 30 seconds showing everybody the hobby stuff that you've been working on?
Well, they're doing completely random stuff. Like, why we? Well, that was a bit of an outturn.
I know, but I feel very bad because we were in a bit of a rush yesterday.
Or everyone else with it, just because you.
No. I felt.
Fair enough. Look, Emperor's Children box set is now finally built.
There you go. Nice.
There you go. And I'm gonna try and paint them quickly. Look at these. Look.
Oh yeah, speed paint markers from Army Painter.
Yeah.
I'm very curious about these things because as an incredibly lazy painter, anything that can make painting quicker is quite important.
Yeah, well, that's what I thought. So I'm going to see if I can use these to really speed things up because I'm not a massive.
Yeah, literally filling them in.
Yeah, basically, yeah. So even if a moron like me can colour in a model, we'll see.
You've transcended painting. You're not even painting. You're just colouring in. Oh man, I love that. I
mean, you've got to be sat there thinking, "Oh, that would work."
Oh, I'm laughing, but I'm laughing with joy because have you ever heard of slap chop? The painting technique?
Yeah.
Well, I've transcended slap chop. I do half of slap chop, which is slop, SLOP.
Yeah.
I thought that was quite clever.
Yeah,
the first half of slap, second half of chop comes out to slop.
Yeah, got that.
Yeah, I thought it was quite good. So that's my page. Do you want
to know? You've not solved string theory there with that one.
Do you want to know what the slop method is?
You spray them white and you slop on a load of Army Painter speed paint.
Yes, but there's an extra layer to it. Okay, what you do is you print your models in a slightly darker resin, so that way you don't need to do the whole prime it black and then zenithal in white because the resin is already the darker color in the recesses. So you don't just zenithal, you just don't like when you spray your models, you sort of spray, turn, spray, turn, spray, turn, spray, turn, and then you lay them down, get the underneath bit, lay them down, get the underneath bit. You just don't do that last bit, and that way the underneath gets a bit of a light powdering but doesn't really get properly primed. And I don't mean to alarm you, but that slop technique has won me two best painted armies.
I'm so shocked by this. I mean,
I genuinely won best painted.
They've got no room to take the piss out of anyone's painting other than yours.
And I am now an officially 2-time award-winning painter. I beat double digits of people to get those. It was 12, but I beat double digits of people to get those awards. Anyway, so Hobby Corner has been satisfied. Simon, I think
Emperor's Children are on the table.
Emperor's on the table. Very, very interested in the speed paint pens. Keep us appraised. Hobby Corner satisfied. Now, letters. Don't do that. Not in a bot action video.
No, it was down. That was cutting. That was not. No, that was cutting.
Have you bought shares in X recently? The Blade of Power. Who remembers tabletop? Who remembers tabletop tactics?
Definitely went down, right? Yeah.
Who remembers tabletop tactics? The Blade of Power. Simon, you do collect Italians. I think you did a rather Roman salute there.
That needs to come out.
No, it's definitely not. It's definitely not. The online safety police have just looked into Simon's internet history and they've looked at his deep dive into Italian black shirts when he was painting his bolt action army. Oh man. Shall we move swiftly on, Simon, to save you any more awkwardness and embarrassment, shall we? All right. Midwinter Minis is just seething right now. But let us talk about... Thank you, Simon, for so elegantly bringing us on to the topic of bolt action.
Oh, dear.
Oh, my God. This is peak content, right? This is the best bit right here. This is the bit that's going to get the most comments.
Not a load of bots that you set up to comment on this stuff.
No, I haven't. Amazingly. I earn my views the old-fashioned way. I should be paying bots, but yeah.
Anyway, yes.
Right, let's talk about 40k and bot action.
Okay.
So, I'm gonna drivel for a minute or two. I tried to keep it brief.
While you do that.
If you really want to, you can do. But I'd rather you were here. I said to Simon yesterday that I think I'm just not feeling 40k at the moment. And it's not that I think anything is necessary. And I want to lay the groundwork here in a very important way, because the moment that I've been talking about 40k and wargaming for a long time. And the moment that you start criticizing 40k and most importantly, comparing it to other games, a large contingent of our tabletop community, and this is not throwing any shade, I want to make something clear, we're not throwing any shade here. A large contingent of our tabletop community feel quite strongly like they need to sort of fanatically defend Warhammer 40k. And or go, oh, bot action's boring, blah blah blah, or 40k is this, and blah blah blah. And I want to make something clear: we're not tearing down 40k. Simon and I both very much enjoy 40k. He's working on Emperor's Children. I never stop working on the Guard, and I've got many different armies, and I love my Tyranids, and I love my Guard, and I love my Black Templars, and love my Genius of and all these kind of things. So we're not tearing down 40k in any way, shape, or form, but we are going to be talking about some potential criticisms of 40k, and we're going to be potentially, especially on my end, of course, because you guys know what I'm like, ball washing bolt action. We're going to be glazing it a little bit. But understand, we're not doing it to try and hate on 40k. We're doing it as a genuine attempt for the first time ever on this channel to have a slightly serious analysis of 40k. And I often talk about this shit into the void. I talk about it on the streams. But we've got Simon here today, who, as we all know, is very much the level-headed, sensible, albeit somewhat grumpy foil to my ADHD-riddled, hyperactive self. So hopefully, Simon will be able to provide some good perspective, even if that perspective is, yes, I think you're right, or no, you're wrong, and here's why. So there we go. All right, so groundwork laid. Going into it, I think 40k suffers a little bit from an excitement problem. I've thought about this since our conversation. I think 40k can suffer a little bit from an excitement problem, and I think that it can be somewhat predictable. And I think bolt action, for all of its warts, for all of its flaws, is a game which often, but not always, often lends itself quite naturally to heady heights, terrible lows, and excitement. Although I would say that it is a wildly imbalanced game, unless the players put some effort into making it a fair game. So that is kind of my opening statement. 40k has an excitement problem and it's predictable. Bolt action is a game which lends itself naturally to being quite exciting. So, Simon, based on that opening statement, would you like to, and I've waffled for a few minutes now, would you like to come in with just your own opening statement, as it were? Or just thoughts about what I've just said?
I think the only thing, is the fact that you have fewer shots in bolt action. So your big shots are a bit more, you've got more casino cannons, basically. So
turns out, please be gambling aware, gambling is quite exciting.
Christ, to get away with this. I'm
on kick these days.
What am I trying to say here?
It's all right. Work through. I've had a bit of time to think about it, so work through it.
You play 40k and you get down. I need to make an 8-inch charge at the end of the game to do that. Then great. I think you probably get more of those kind of rolls with bolt action a bit earlier. With the, I'm going to roll on my Tiger Tank and have a pop here, and if I pop your, so that's the fundamental difference. You do have the the randomness of the mission deck, which I sometimes don't think you get with I sometimes miss with bolt action. It's kind of the But yeah, I broadly agree with that. Because you've got fewer big shots in bolt action, they are A, more swingy, and B, they seem like a bigger a, a bigger deal. And I think the other thing, and I thought about this after I got back last night, was that the dice bag, I think, is the build up to that. So actually, you're not having the turns in 40k where it's just like, right, am I going to survive this turn or not? Whereas actually, I want the next. So there's kind of more pivot. There's more, moments where it's 50-50 or 55-45 or something like that in bolt action. And I think if you get a game where you get a lot of those that are meaningful, then yeah, it's fantastic. But I think the flip side of that is, and if you've not seen the game, it would have been quite easy for in turn the end of turn one in that game for your Tiger tank to roll on, pop one T34, you draw the next dice from the second and pop the other T34, and then actually you then get a snowball that goes the other way, and at which point it's not quite as exciting. Anyway, it was more exciting because neither of us could hit a barn door with a banjo.
That's true. So I think that I think you've done a good job there. I think you've absolutely hit the nail on the head. I think there's, when you first play bolt action, the dice bag is a novel gimmick. And like, ooh, I'm going to reach into the bag. Ooh, what's the next dice? And then after, you can get this feeling in your first game, or you can get it a little bit later on. But it's something I've only recently really come to appreciate how genius
That's a great mechanic. That is, that genuinely is a great mechanic.
Because it's every, if the game is close, every single dice, you're praying to a deity that you thought you didn't believe in to try to put to the next dice to come out. You're like, please. You're like that guy in The Mummy who's holding up the different symbols to try and get the mummy to leave him alone. You're praying to every single deity. I need the next dice. I need to get this. I need to get the first shot in on this tank duel. I don't want to be on the pins, please. It's so, it's so good.
It does give you as well sort of those. It's right. I've got the dice, right, but then I've still got 2 or 3 options. Do I want to shoot with my tank, or do I want to move that squad that's been zeroed in by a mortar?
Yeah.
Or do I, So I think there was a time yesterday, turn 3 or 4, where I got the first 2 dice, and it was just like, right, the first dice was the Tiger tank, and then the second one was, well, actually, now I'm going to go and try and take the Panzerschreck team out that's about to come, and that. So it's such a good mechanic. That genuinely, I think that is, cannot wax lyrical enough about the dice bag and what a great mechanic that is, and that does layer another, layer of chance and a layer of tactics. Actually, yes, I've got the dice, but which unit am I going to use it on? So yeah, that I think is probably the biggest. But then the flip side is actually you haven't got the mission deck, which provides its own excitement sometimes. And I think if you played as much bolt action as you do 40k, and you play obviously a lot more than it, then actually you would probably we'd be sat here in 12 months and you sort of saying,
I'm bored of
bolt action because and actually it needs some kind of mission deck feature in there.
Yeah, so a couple of things. So firstly, we're both very much in agreement on the dice bag, and it's definitely something I've come to appreciate more. It's absolutely inspired mechanic, and I think a big part of it is both players are constantly engaged, and you're engaged when when the dice is coming out, and then you're engaged because when your opponent makes their decision, you're almost like you're thinking about what they're doing, and it's getting you going, okay, they've just done that. Now I've got a chance. Hopefully the next dice is mine. And so there's this constant engagement because you constantly think about, okay, just need the next dice, just need the next dice, just need the next dice. Whereas with 40k, it's much more predictable. You've got your turn and you've got your opponent's turn. And I'm not against I go, you go systems. I want to make that clear because I play Warhammer Old World and so do you. And we don't have this same, I don't think Old World has the same excitement problem that I would say 40k has, because Old World is I go, you go, and yet I find that to be a thoroughly exciting game, because I think the reason for that is because it's quite a melee orientated game rather than a shooting orientated game, and because there's less dice rolls involved, you do your charges and stuff, there's a smattering of shooting, then we get straight into combat, and I'm gonna have some dice to swing back at you. More than likely I'm gonna have, so there is a bit, I'm still doing a bit of something in your turn, whereas in 40k it's very much, because I think this is one thing I just want to say. You say there's the dice bag is good, but if you get a few dice, it can sort of run away from you, right?
Not if you get a few dice, because sometimes you don't want the dice. But what I'm saying is, if you say turn 2 yesterday, right? We get into turn 2, end of turn 1, you pop my T34, you get the first dice of the second, you pop a second T34. All of a sudden, I'm 2 T34s down, and then you get a lucky 6 on a, which all right, it's quite swingy that. But you get a lucky 6 on a mortar, and then actually, you top a turn 2, not the top, you couple of dice into turn 2, and you look at it and you go, right, if you get a bit of a snowball of some good rolls, a couple of, casino shots go your way, and then actually you're like, right, okay, what do I do now? Because, it's great when you don't get that luck, like we were missing a lot, but then we have had games when, because it's you do get that luck, and it's a couple of, it's like, right, okay, that's just smashed. Do you get that in 40k? I don't know.
If I may come in for a moment, I think the difference here is it can happen in bolt action, whereas I would argue, frankly, it just does happen in 40k. So give me a second. You want to come in? Just give me a second. If it was 40k and we were playing on that scenario, my Tiger Tank would come round and destroy your T-34, because it would have some kind of datasheet ability that will give it a reroll to hit and to damage, and it'll just have the output. So, and let's say, my Tiger Tank rolls out and kills your T-34, and then let's say your T-34 rolls out and then kills my Tiger. There does seem often in 40k, there's
you've got re-rolls upon re-rolls, and
damage output is guaranteed. And also, because of the I go, you go nature, you can set up quite large killing blows. And I think we've all been, I think we have all been there. Everyone who's listening to this video, and everyone, and you and I, we have been there many, many times. And you've, how many battle ports have we done? A little peek behind the curtain moment. How many battle ports have we done where we've got to the end of round 2 and it's basically been over? But we're not going to obviously stop because we want to do the battle port. We don't know if who knows, the secondaries might come in. But I don't think you're psychic or clairvoyant, Simon, but you have been able to predict with some unerring accuracy where if when our 40k battle ports are kind of like, okay, well, it's probably over by turn 2, turn 3, it's definitely over. Do you know what I mean? And I think I think the criticism that you level at bolt action is a valid one, but I think it is one that does not happen often. There's the potential for it, but in 40k, due to the nature of the fact that I do everything in my turn, and due to the fact that the game has, I think, become infested with rerolls and other mechanics and abilities that guarantee, in many cases, damage output, 40k feels like a game of, I move out, destroy one of your units, you then come out, destroy one of my units, I move out. There's very rarely does something in 40k survive if your opponent does not want it to survive, because there's enough levers to pull.
Yeah, you're right. You've been going on for like 3 hours now. Let me come back in. Right.
It was an important point.
Because I forget the points. I'm getting old, so the one I think we keep going round in this with terrain, and I get unpopular, but that's why terrain in 40k is as important as it is, and L-shaped ruins, as ugly as they are. So you have got that, but then this is, and again I've said this before, is the community, right? Okay, so if you were playing 40k, right, and everyone goes, right, there's too many datasheet rules, everything's too killy, right? Everything's this, that, and the other, and we're going into 11th next year, and GW came out and went, right, we're going to tone everything right back down. Right.
Which they do every year, by the way.
You're sorry?
They do that every beginning of every edition.
Yeah, and why does that never stick?
Because players have got poor self-control.
Exactly. Like the first thing that would happen is they would go, right, my Rogal Dawn used to do this, now it does that. It's shit, it's broken. And then they'd be on Warhammer competitive or whatever, going, this game is now crap because, and then, you know, or I used to be able to do 36 D6, 36 strength 6 shots with rerolls, blah blah blah, but now I can't, and therefore the game's shit. And that is what happens. That is, you know, when you get power creep, that's because if you don't get power creep, people start bitching and moaning that there's, yeah, and it's not just this community; it's all different. You know, it's like I use the MMO communities. Like if you know, World of Warcraft back in the day, you know, getting to level 60 used to be a big part of the game, but then over the way, it's now right. We're going to just boost people up to level whatever it is these days and let them get into the end game. And then a month later, you get everyone moaning that there's no content because they've. So the problem is, people now get what they want, and then moan that they've got what they want. And I think Warhammer is a great example of that. Is that people want their units to be the biggest, killiest thing on the planet, and then when everyone gets the biggest, killiest thing, they all go, "Oh, this game's too lethal." Right, make your mind up. You know, and that's not just the wargaming community. It's PC gaming communities. It's, you know, whatever, you know, if you football, you know, you people just, there you go. I sound like an angry old man, but I just.
That's okay. You shout at those clouds, Simon.
But I did think this last night that actually the reason why we have ended up with the really killy units is because if we didn't, the forums and Reddit and everyone would be, this is shit, I'm going to go and play a different game, because they actually want the big shiny rules on the data sheet, and that's a hill I'm prepared to die on.
Well, I think you will find a few people who will stand beside you with that stance. I think myself as well. I sometimes perish the thought. I sometimes do feel a little sorry for Games Workshop. I know the giant soulless corporation, but there must, you know, it must be very difficult when you, no matter what, you're damned if you do, if you're damned if you don't.
Yeah.
In many ways.
Absolutely. Just jumped out to me last night after I was when I was driving back, and I thought, you know what, that's because that's what people want.
I think it's interesting. Let's just talk about the 40k community for a moment, because I think it is very much related to what we're talking about with 40k and an excitement problem and stuff. I for a while have hypothesized that the reason why 40k is so killy and why there's an ever-increasing amount of dice rolls and dice in terms of attacks and re-rolls and power and all that kind of stuff is because 40k players, they have this obsession with things like Math Hammer. You can't go a day on a Warhammer 40k community or online community without someone bringing up Math Hammer and this is broken, look at me, I've got all these statistics, blah blah blah, and you just don't have that in other games. You just don't have it as, okay, you do have it, but you have it at the sort of, it's like a top slice, whereas in 40k it's throughout every layer of the strata of the community. And I think they put all these rerolls in and they make the game very lethal and they make it very predictable because it's to protect people's feelings. People don't like that feeling of, well, I've got my big unit and I've charged it in. Oh, I've rolled all my dice and I've missed half my attacks. I'm hitting on 3s, but somehow I've missed my attacks. So
yeah, you get used to it.
You get well, but then rather than going, oh, I just failed, I should have won that. How many times back in the day? Yeah. I should have won that. I rolled really badly then. And then now they have all these rerolls, so they go, oh, I missed half my attacks, reroll. Oh, go on a wanted now. Go to wound. Yeah. Oh, I didn't wound enough. Reroll. Oh, go on a wound now. And then the opponent just goes, you never get rerolls and armor saves. You never get rerolls and armor saves, do you? That's the weird one, isn't it? So then the opponent, that's why 40k is so lethal. You know what, Simon? To fix 40k, we need to add more rerolls in. We need rerolls on armor saves. That's why 40k is so lethal, because there's rerolls on one end of the equation, not on the other.
Yeah, but I don't think it's broken. I think it is what it is, and it's a different game to bolt action, and that's what.
I don't think it's broken. We're not saying 40k is bad or broken.
That's what the community wants. The community wants those dopamine hits.
Yeah, it's good. It's a good way of looking at it. Yeah,
that's that's what people like. That's what people want, and if it's my business, that's what I keep giving them.
Yeah.
So I can't. Yeah, I just don't. That is the game that we have as a community, I think, have evolved to wanting.
Yeah, because for years and years and years and years and years, everyone talked about balance. Now, for the first time in 20 years of me playing this game, and playing since I was a wee lad, it's more balanced than it ever has been before.
Yeah.
But now, it has its own. That has come with its own problems.
Don't get me wrong, yeah. I mean, we're going back to. I thought that game yesterday that we played was the best, showcases everything that's great about bolt action. Absolutely everything that was great about bolt action. I thought, it was good fun. We didn't have stupid, ugly ass lists that I've seen, where you've got like six Polish lancers and whatever, they look like armies.
A fleet of tiny tankettes, nothing like that.
Yeah. It looked like a proper, it was, the shooting was terrible. We had the moment where you uprated, and then I thought, and that was interesting, because like when you became, that squad became with all the machine guns and stuff in it, and then became veteran. I thought, he's done it again. He's absolutely done it again. And then
too bad.
Yeah, I mean, what was that? It was a 1 in 18 chance of them becoming a veteran squad, and then a 1 in 36 chance of your FUBAR, and that was so that was everything that game was everything that is really good. If you want to show someone how much fun bolt action can play, what you do is you play that game and either not play me or not play you. I'm not sure which one, but you could be either or.
Yeah.
But that is actually the best example of how good that game can actually be. And even to the point where, like, turn 6, I'm like, right, yeah, smashed him 4 points up. Oh no, here's a dice, and
turn 7, baby. On a 4 plus, go to turn 7. That's an interesting idea.
And then obviously you came back, and we got a bit lax about a few. So yeah, that was a really, really good game. But then we've had really, really good games of 40k, and I think people forget, actually, if you get a really good game of 40k, how good a good game of 40k actually is.
It can be. It can be. The last 2 or 3 tournaments I've been to, I have either been able, and this is going to sound quite arrogant, and I really don't mean it in this way, but I have been able to kind of know who's going to win, either just by the matchup. I look down at my opponent's list, and it's like, okay, he just hasn't got what he needs to be able to beat me here, or by I'm like, oh, this could go either way. I'm not so confident, and by the end of turn 2, I'm like, I know where this is going. Yeah.
Well, then you get that in.
I can't remember the last time we've had that. I think I've only ever had that once in bot action.
No.
People should never concede turn 2 bot action, because it can always come back.
But if I'd have rocked up, if you were playing, if we'd have taken that Russian list and I'd rocked up with my Italians, you'd have gone,
That's true.
Or vice versa. So, you do have that kind of, if you take the wrong list in bolt action, you still have the same problem. That's not, that there's this magic kind of everything is, you still have that fundamental problem. And I quite like the element of 40k that says, if I'm running Emperor's Children, I'm going to struggle. How do I use my Emperor's Children to beat knights? Now, do I hope I get lucky in a tournament and avoid knights? Or actually So do I build into handle knight? So I really like that. So that you do have some factions that are going to struggle into other factions, and if you get
like that, but the vast majority of 40k players don't like that. They're like, Emperor Children should have all the tools they need to be able to beat not every faction, to have a chance, not to necessarily beat, but every faction should have every tool in going into every matchup.
What they do, it just might not be the most competitive build. That's people want the most competitive build that's going to work in every faction.
There's definitely an arms race. There's a 40k arms race, and it always happens every edition. And I think in 40k, it's almost impossible to persuade someone to take a less efficient choice because
but again,
no one's doing it. No, exactly. And I think this is, it's definitely a comment on the community. And again, we're not shitting on the 40k community or anything like that. We're part of the 40k community, but we also have to acknowledge, we have to acknowledge our flaws, guys.
Everything I'm saying, I'm like exactly the same.
Yeah, exactly. So we're saying about ourselves.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think in 40k, the thing is, because the game is no longer led by the competitive scene. It just is the competitive scene. Like it just is. And if I go, you know what, I'm going to turn up to this tournament with just the most, not even the most fluffy list, just a more fluffy list, I will guarantee that I will get fisted in the majority of my games. Like, that's going to happen because everyone is trying to run the most efficient list. Now that's when I say trying, I didn't say they are running the most efficient list, but everyone is trying to run the most efficient list all of the time, because if they don't, everyone else does, they just get left behind. Whereas I think one other thing I want to say is you don't quite have that same mindset in bot action. There is definitely everyone knows you can break the game. And I think it's mostly because 40k is a global community, whereas I'd say bot action is much more of a lots of small tribes kind of community. You can go to one meta and they'll play 1100 points, 14 dice limit. Go to another club, they'll play 18 dice limit, 1250 points. Go to another club, they'll play like 1,000 points. There's an idea that 1250 points is standard, but it rarely is. So everyone plays a little bit differently, and everyone sort of, because everyone knows each other, there's a lot more of that. Well, you don't just come in there and start swinging your big dick around because all you're doing is battering your mates. Let's actually, like you and I, we balance it. Now, one thing I want to say, one thing. We have tried to tone down lists in 40k with our narrative games, and we tried to really be. We did try. I brought like one Lehman Russ. Didn't even have it as a tank commander. You brought like one Doomstalker and all this kind of stuff. We really tried to tone down our list when we did those narrative games. And in both games, we played on beautiful terrain. We tried, I would say, in many ways, we tried to bolt actionify 40k. We played on narrative immersive boards, and we very much toned our lists against each other. And two things I would say. One, we still both got, one person each game got blasted to death. But two, the games were more fun. Do you remember when it was the Inquisitor versus the Scorefec? And it was like, it was great. It was great.
Completely blanked that out. No, I'm not even thinking about that. Well, actually, yeah. But then, right, okay, so a couple of points. One, I mean, my bot action community is you and your events, and so if I took one of my lists that I normally run to a competitive bolt action, I think I'd come away getting absolutely rearranged for 4 or 5 rounds, and that's not different at point. So that's that is what it is. And the second point, and I've completely forgotten what the second point was. Oh right, yeah. So and I can't remember off the top of my head, but if we're talking about those narrative games and you're looking at it, and this comes back to another point that we've discussed at length before, but actually it's like, well, I've only brought one Lehman Russ, but actually I've got all my infantry squads are running double plasma, double melter.
No, I toned it down. I had like
So-
grenade launchers and stuff in there, man, and autocannons. It's when I could still take.
Yeah, but
I really did tone it down.
I can't remember. But actually, if you were running your infantry squad with just pure las rifles, you know that.
I would love to, but I don't get a benefit for doing that.
But there you go. There you go. Thank you very much.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
So, winner, chicken dinner.
You're right.
But that there is the mindset, right? Let's play a game where you're just running las guns because that's going to tone down everything. But I don't get a benefit for doing that.
But the thing is, it's not that I don't get a benefit for doing that. It's that it's not a case of I don't get a benefit for doing that. It's more of a case of I fuck myself by doing that. Because if I take guys with just las guns into Necron warriors with like Gauze flayers or what was it, Gauze reapers, you don't get to take plasma guns and stuff. You don't get to take them. So your basic weapons are so much stronger than mine. So there's no new. It's not fun, and I don't mean it's not fun because I'm not getting a power trip. It's not fun because it just feels like a waste of time. Whereas, this is the
point that I'm trying to get to. So if you play bolt action, right, I cannot kill a tank with my infantry sections.
True.
Can't happen. Right. Cannot happen. But I can kill other infantry sections. I can kill certain things. Great. Fantastic. That's what they're. Whereas in 40k, it's like, well, actually, my infantry section can't squat a Doomstalker, therefore it's crap. Therefore,
no. I have. Look.
That's the kind of. Whereas actually, you don't. There's no. Sometimes there's no except you read online, and I'm talking about people I've never met who are on the internet, and it's like actually this 150 block of Necron warriors should be able to reanimate everything, should be able to kill everything.
No, you're right. Yeah.
And that's what I want. And if I don't get that, it's crap because someone else has that.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, the game's too lethal.
Okay, man. So I know what you're saying. Like in 40k, people, they want their rifles to be able to kill everything and all that kind of stuff. Whereas a bolt action, they can't kill tanks, they can kill infantry. But here's my point, Si.
Yeah.
We have to put so much more effort into 40k to toning things down. If to try, and we tried, and even when we, people don't see a lot of the behind the scenes stuff, but we actually did quite a lot of. Let's talk about like terrain. Let's talk about missions. Let's talk, and most importantly, let's talk about the lists. Okay, I won't take that because that'll be too much. Okay, should I take this? No, that's probably a bit too much. We put a lot of off-camera effort. Like a good discussion before each game, and it still wasn't balanced. And then in bolt action, it took us like.
Yeah.
It took us an almost imperceptible amount of time to just go, yeah, you take that. Yeah, that looks good for me. And we're not familiar with bolt action like we are with 40k, man. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it feels like, I feel like in 40k, you the player could put a phenomenal amount of effort into trying to tone things down, to make things more fun and interesting. And in games like bolt action, it feels, and in 40k, it feels like the system is fighting against you. And then in bolt action, it is both effortless to break the game, and it is somewhat effortless to get things relatively close to each other.
Yeah, I mean, but again, we're going to go back, and I sound like a broken record. The big difference is, is terrain. I think it's a massive difference. And that I think if we go back, and I said this at the time, and I've not changed my mind too much, that you have to find a way to make the terrain work in a narrative game or a toned down game. And there isn't just L-shaped ruins. I get that because but there is a reason they work. And, we talked about that absolute monstrosity of perspex see-through,
that's final evolution of 40k terrain, isn't it?
But actually, I think if we carried on that kick of doing the narrative games, and we'd have got better at actually working out to say, right, here's a board that looks absolutely amazing, but has got functional terrain on it. And how you make that, I don't know. I said to you yesterday, there's a business model that says I'm going to produce L-shaped ruins that don't look like L-shaped ruins, that look like
beautiful L-shaped ruins. Yeah.
So that I think is the key difference. And the other thing, and this is not that, if I look back, if we had if I could work out the number of people who I played 40k against, it's three figures. I play people in America, I play people, in the club, I play people locally, I play people nationally, I play people at Element. I played all these different people because the community is massive. If I then if I go down to bolt action, it's you and the little micro community around from the
a dozen people.
Yeah.
40k, you play hundreds, bolt action, you play dozens.
Yeah, and then at the moment, old world is single digits because it's you. And then, so actually, is it how much of it is the game, or actually you can't control the community that big? You genuinely, and there's some, and you just take Warlord, right? There's some, absolutely everyone apart from, present company excluded down there is really, really, top blokes down there.
Yeah.
And we say, right, we're going to have a fluffy game. And then you look at some of the fluffy game and it's like, what on earth is that? That's not because they're trying to be whacker. It's not they're trying to be, but that is just because that's, the culture of the game. And actually you're trying to police that within your own, police that within your own, club. You can't then do that on a national or an international scale.
When we say Warlord, we should be clear, we mean our local 40k group, not Warlord Games, the people that run bot action. To be clear.
And I always think back, and this is, when we did back at the end of ninth, when there was a big heresy kick leading up, everyone was going to do the Warhammer Fest at the GMEX, whatever it's called, and there was a lot of people going to play Heresy, and we were down at the club learning to play the game, and it was just like, we're just going to learn the game, nothing, and then the first thing would be go, right, this squad, actually it does and you're dead. And it was just, you can't, that natural inclination within people is to go, right, that looks really fucking cool because look at all that's going on the table, because it's really cool. And that's, I think, the Warhammer mentality of the players.
I think
it's fed by Games Workshop. It's just like a feedback loop.
I think, because you take 40k players, of which we are also 40k players, and we put it into Heresy. When I started getting into Heresy 2.0, the first thing I started doing is being like, what kind of really broken heresy list can I run? And I ended up coming with one which was like 12 Lehman Russ Vanquishers and 160 Solar Auxilia.
Yeah, I remember.
And they were all in like the Ultra Auxilia cohorts. They could move and shoot without suffering heavy because they were like slow, so they could walk like lockstep, and then they could get +1 to hit and all this kind of stuff. And you know what? That list was very good on paper. I had the resources to pull that list together, and I didn't, because whilst I would have had a great trip, I had to remind myself, no, I've come from doing that in 40k. If I bring that over to Heresy, I'm going to basically just start the same arms race process again. And it's the same with Old World, the same with bot action. Like in Old World, I just run my whether Empire are good or Empire are bad, I run Empire and I run state troops, and that's what I like, and that's what I run, and I don't change it. And I never win. I've never won an event with my solo Empire, and I probably never will, because I have to stop myself from doing the arms race. There's a couple of people in our local Old World group that also have started arms racing, but it's just 2 out of like 24, so it's fine. But anyway, I think you're right. You have to go, if you're going into a new game system as a 40k player, you always have to fight your natural instinct to break the game. Now, we're running a little low on time, Simon, so I've got 2 very quick questions for you.
Yeah.
First one. What is your hot take on 11th edition being rumored to be more of the same, more of a 10.5 edition?
That's, 8th, 9th was the same, 10th was reimagining. So I was just kind of presuming that, to be honest.
Would you like the game to get mixed up, or do you think it's good that it's going to be a little bit more stable for 3 years?
I really quite like 10th. Really, if it had said, I mean, I guess they've got to make money, and you do need to refresh it. But I was, I've not played as much as a lot of people, so I'm not perhaps as burnt out. But no, it doesn't worry me in a bit. I just don't want like the first codex to come out and blow it all out the water.
Yep, fair. And secondly, what do you think about the idea of Games Workshop releasing Warhammer 40k Classic, where what they did with the old world, they kind of do with Warhammer 40k. They can sell exactly the same models, but it's an older rule system, because a lot of people are already going back to Old Hammer. So what if GW took the best bits of all the old editions and old worlded it?
Heresy, to be honest, but yeah.
No Xenos and Heresy though. No Xenos and Heresy though.
No, so all right. You could add, you could add rules for Xenos into Heresy. I'm sure some people. I think that'd be incredibly niche.
You reckon? Fair.
Yeah. Because again, how often does go back to Northern Warlords? Right, we're going to do Kill Team. No one plays Kill Team. We're going to play Heresy. No one plays Heresy. The odd guy saw us a game there on Tuesday night. That was the first time. Oh, we're going to do Sigmar. No one plays Sigmar.
They all return to 40k eventually.
Yeah, but then the flip side is, that's nature of us. There's another club in East Warrington. I can't remember what, but they do loads of different games there, and I imagine it's a completely different, attracts different people. Yeah, so I think you just got to bear in mind that if you get stuck in your own bubble, then not everyone is like that.
Yeah, Northern Warlords, turn up, get smashed, get better. That's the club. Yeah. That's the club motto.
We are. That's where we were raised recently. Is hyper competitive. Even the lower tier play. It's the lower tier is the right word, but the people who aren't.
We're not throwing any shade.
Yeah, but people who are just starting, or people who aren't interested in going to the worlds or things like that, are very good players. So you do have to, get half decent
quickly.
So
yeah.
And I bet you that it would be interesting to know if you went to some of the other clubs that aren't hyper competitive or aren't that, actually how much different it is.
Indeed. Maybe we've touched upon a few things at the end there. Maybe in a future SaltCast we can expand upon them. Let us know down in the comment section if that's what you would like to see. Simon, as always, thank you very much for your time. Thank you so much for sharing your deep thoughts, thin coats, very thin. You do use your speed paint pens now. And let us know back home what you thought about this. Bolt action versus 40k. Does 40k have a bit of a predictability problem? What are the causes of that? And is that just the nature of the game, or is there some things that can be done about it? If you enjoyed today's video, don't forget to go ahead, smash the like button, subscribe, all that good stuff, and all that. Simon, as always, mate, thank you for your support. Thank you for being here.
Yeah,
and of course, as always, we'll see you guys next time. Would you like to know more? If so, then please consider becoming a channel member or patron. By supporting the channel, not only will you be doing your part, but you'll also be helping me create more content for your viewing pleasure and unlocking a whole host of perks. You get everything from a badge next to your name, custom emojis, but the big one is access to the Mordian Glory Discord server, an online community with almost 2,500 active members. It's always popping off in the MG Discord. We've got channels for army lists, hobbying, tactics, stories, and even a pretty spicy meme section as well.
For all you greenhorns that wanted to see the Mordian glory hole, today is your lucky day.
And joking aside, I do want to say a massive thank you to all of the current channel members and Patreons. You guys are amazing. Truly the lifeblood of the channel. I could not do Mordian Glory full-time without the incredible and generous support of my members. So thank you guys so much. And last but certainly not least, I want to say a personal thank you to all of my top tier Patreons. These are the War Masters, the people who have truly gone above and beyond the call of duty. So a heartfelt thank you to Redfield, 32, Jurgens, Miasma, Try Again, Bragg, RJ, Scorpion, Bonbon Vert, Lord Pryor, Nicholas Walsh, John Stubbs, Guardian, Varney, Sword, Fish Trombone, Picklock the Forged. Seriously guys, thank you from the bottom of my heart. Your support is incredible and it makes a huge difference. Thank you so much. That's all for now. Hope you've all enjoyed today's video, and of course, as always, see you guys next time.